In the news today, lots going on relating to COVID-19. Some really, really major stories happening on both sides of the pond. We're going to try and pick through it all today. Would love to hear your comments as always, wherever you're watching this, Facebook, Twitter, or indeed on HAPS itself. Let me know your thoughts on all the stories that we're going to be covering today. We're obviously going to start with the fact that President Donald Trump has confirmed that he and the First Lady, Melania, have tested positive for coronavirus. It's reported that he has got mild symptoms and is currently in good spirits after contracting the virus. That's from the White House today. Now, Trump's Democratic rival, Joe Biden, who, of course, was stood very close to him in that televised debate earlier this week, has tested negative so far for the virus. He tweeted that he and his wife are currently testing negative. But as we all know, the incubation time for this virus can be many days, even weeks in some cases. So I think we're going to need regular and thorough testing from Joe Biden. Will he be self-isolating? I think he probably should. I mean, it would be expected that one of us, if we were in that close contact with someone who has tested positive for coronavirus, and the current CDC advice is that someone testing positive with coronavirus should isolate for 10 days. So what we will see from Joe Biden over the next few days, that is obviously something that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Hello to everyone who's watching. Peter, Mark, and Mark saying it's good to see me back on HAPS. Well, it's great to be here with all of this news that we've got to pick through. Yes, so that debate, I watched it. I stayed up. It was very, very late at night or early in the morning, whichever way you want to look at it. For me, when I watched it here in the UK, and it was a massive car crash, wasn't it? And I think the American people should feel very disappointed. If that happened, if those were my politicians, my choices of a leader of my nation, I wouldn't have much faith really right now. I wouldn't really be feeling very positive about that election that's just 1 month away. Hello to Brian McQueen, and hey, Jamie says, Robbie, you're awesome, man. Hush, respect to you too, Robbie. Thank you for joining me here on this live broadcast. But we were just talking about the debate, and Joe Biden and President Trump, both in their 70s, well into their 70s, standing 3 meters away from each other, so 10 feet was between them, and obviously talking quite. What's the word? Like they were projecting their voices, weren't they? They definitely weren't talking quietly and arguing in some cases. And that's what we've been seeing as a way that spreads coronavirus, aren't we? The droplets that come out of our mouth and our nose when we speak. But regardless, he and his wife, President Trump, that is, and his wife, Melania, are self-isolating, testing positive for COVID-19 just 1 month before that election. But White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, was speaking to reporters today. He said that the president remains in good spirits, but confirmed that Mr. Trump does have mild symptoms so far. I'm going to take a look now at what Mark Meadows said to reporters a little earlier.
People.
There we go. Sorry about the echo that you heard on that video there, but just to sum up what was being said, that was Mark Meadows, who was speaking to reporters today, saying that the president remains in good spirits, is continuing to work from home, but currently only suffering from mild symptoms. But this whole story begins when the first couple said they intended to self-isolate on Thursday. This was after one of Mr. Trump's closest aides, called Hope Hicks, who tested positive for coronavirus, and then soon after, the first couple tested positive themselves. But there's been quite a bit of criticism on President Donald Trump after his decision to attend a fundraiser, which was also attended by dozens of people in New Jersey on Thursday. This was apparently already when officials knew about Hope Hicks's symptoms. I'm going to show you a little picture of the pair now. There they are, President Trump and Hope Hicks. Hope Hicks is 31, a trusted Trump aide, and she traveled actually with the president on Air Force One to that first presidential TV debate with Mr. Biden in Ohio on Tuesday. Now, we also saw in the crowd the very sort of, they look rather intimidating, don't they? The Trump family, they're all sort of like, you know, they look genetically superior, don't they? They're all sort of gorgeous and sort of, you know, looking like terrifying. But they were sat there without masks. And obviously the advice was to wear masks, but the Trump family did not whilst they were watching the debate. And President Trump hasn't himself been a huge supporter of masks at all, has he? Just going to get myself full frame. Don't want to spoil the smoke and mirrors there. This isn't actually a shot of London behind me. But yeah, we've seen Trump a lot, haven't we? Not socially distancing with his aides, not wearing masks, doing things that maybe we wouldn't feel comfortable doing, or doing things differently than what would be expected of us in social situations. But according to his most recent physical examination, which was earlier in the year, Donald Trump weighed reportedly 244 pounds. That's 110.7 kilograms. Now, I pre-prepared that. I didn't do that off the top of my head. That would be incredible if I managed to convert that at such a quick rate. But 110.7 kilograms does mean that Mr. Trump, president, is considered to be obese for his height, which I was quite shocked to learn is 6'3". So, you know, he's a really imposing character. I heard Nigel Farage on a podcast made by, I think it's The Guardian, the Telegraph here in the UK, and he was chatting to a reporter talking about how, you know, sort of imposing Trump is as a character. He's a very large gentleman, sort of larger than life. And obviously I didn't think he was that large, but you know, he's 6'3", 6'3", and a weight of 244 pounds. So, you know, looking at the BMI scale, that means that Donald Trump is, you know, considered to be obese, and that obviously brings into questions how. Someone in the comments says 17.32 stone. Thank you so much for that. I've done the kilograms. I didn't think to do stones, but there you go. If you wanted it, Trump weighs 17.32 stone. But that, you know, him being obese obviously brings how his body will react to the coronavirus. We know that people who are obese, who are overweight, tend to have worse experiences with it. So Robbie Cantwell asks, when was he diagnosed? He tweeted today to say that he tested positive. How the case is in the UK, we're going to get to that in a little bit. We're going to just pick through the news that Donald Trump and his wife Melania have tested positive for coronavirus first. Hope to meet you sometime in real life. Well, that's what the internet is good for, isn't it? Connecting with everyone, you know, doing it over the news as we are tonight. But, you know, so far, Donald Trump is, you know, remaining healthy, and obviously being the president of the United States, he will be receiving, you know, the best medical care available for them. So it's not clear how, you know, Trump testing positive is going to affect arrangements for the next presidential debate, which I think, you know, after the first one, the world was waiting for. What are these new sort of systems that were going to be put in place to prevent the car crash that happened earlier on this week? But, you know, what's going to happen to that? It's scheduled for the 15th of October, if I'm right, in Miami. So obviously we are going to be paying a close attention to see what's going to happen with that over the next coming days. Like I say, I'm pretty convinced that Joe Biden needs a few more tests to be sure that he is out of the woods. But let me know what your thoughts are on this. Get in touch with me. Use that chat box below. Was it inevitable that Donald Trump would sort of come a cropper and catch the coronavirus after he flouted so many social distancing guidelines and didn't wear masks and that sort of thing, attended rallies and fundraising events, and probably didn't consider the virus to be as serious as we've seen that it is. I think Nancy Pelosi today was saying that hopefully she hopes that now Donald Trump's approach to the virus will be, more considerate of the severity of the situation. Heard her on the radio earlier today. Hello to Keep It Simple Stupid, who is watching from Melbourne, Australia. Good to have you here. And then just around that topic up, the coronavirus has infected more than 7.2 million Americans, and now currently the death toll sits at more than 200,000. So quite a severe situation in America. And, if Nancy Pelosi's right, then maybe Donald Trump's approach to the sort of control of the virus will now be a bit like what we've seen in the UK with Boris Johnson after Boris Johnson caught the virus. I think a lot of political commentators said that now he's reacting to it from, someone who's had it and got very, very ill. Boris Johnson was, in quite a difficult situation with coronavirus. So so what Nancy Pelosi is saying is hopefully Donald Trump will approach it with a bit more sort of caution and the severity that it deserves. 99% of people recover from the scandemic, says Keep It Simple Stupid. Well, that's a good thing. Remember, a low death rate is a very good thing, but nevertheless, the coronavirus is spreading. 7.2, wasn't it? 7.2 million Americans. And here in the UK, which we'll get onto now, lots of COVID headlines today. The chief medical officer is, freely admitting that the coronavirus is out of control. And what's the word he used? It's spreading. I can't. The word's gone off my head, but it's spreading very, very fast, to say the least. The R number, which I don't think we ever got below 0.9 or below, safely below 1. Well, that's currently sitting at around 1.6 according to the latest figures here in the UK. That is now, SAGE, the Government Advisory Committee, said it was between 1.3 and 1.6. Now that's up from last week when it was between 1.2 and 1.5. Hello from Los Angeles to Alex. Good to have you here in my live broadcast on HAPS this evening. Alex is another journalist who uses HAPS to share the news from where he is in the world. That's what HAPS is great for, sharing the news across social media platforms from where you are in the world. Now, in England, the R number is highest in London and the northeast and Yorkshire, with both regions having figures there between 1.6 and 1.2, and 1.2 is what we believe to be the sort of the highest R number that we're seeing in the UK right now. A couple of comments just coming in. Alexander says, "Hey Jamie." Hey Alexander, good to have you here. I think he thinks he couldn't have gotten it. I mean, he was bound to catch it no matter what. I hope him a safe recovery. He has to watch his back for now on several people, I'm sure, have crossed paths with Trump. Bad situation. Robbie there commenting on the news that Donald Trump has tested positive with coronavirus, on the fact that maybe it was slightly inevitable that Trump did, in fact, catch the coronavirus. But back to England, and the lowest R number is in the east of England, where we're seeing an R number between 1 and 1.3. So to put that into perspective, it's really difficult to, I think, contextualize 1.2 type numbers with decimal places. So let's times it by 10. So if you are living in London, the Northeast, or Yorkshire, if you catch coronavirus, then the science says that you are likely, if 10 people catch the coronavirus, the science says that you are likely to pass that on to either 12 or 16 people. So you can really see exponentially, that was the word that I was trying to find earlier, you can really see how the virus now is spreading exponentially. That's what the figure are showing us, at least. Now, that is coming as the daily figures for new infections remained roughly the same as the one we saw yesterday. A little earlier in the week, we were seeing, record figures, quite worrying figures. But today it was 6,968 new cases reported today. That was compared with 6,914 reported on Thursday. And what we saw last week was around 6,025. So still a lot of cases being reported, but obviously the government is ramping up testing, as it's continuing to say. Kat Mandu says, worst debate on the planet Earth. It was definitely one to watch. I think that Kat is referring to, well, I know that Kat is referring to the debate between President Donald Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden on Tuesday, which I stayed up very, very late to watch. I think we're going to be watching clips of that debate for many, many years to come. Now, back to the UK, there is a little bit of evidence that the recent increase in coronavirus cases is leveling off. So maybe we've seen a second peak, as it were. So it's the ONS, the UK's Office for National Statistics, that said that new cases of COVID-19 were around 8,400 per day in the latest week, up to the 24th of September, which was down from around 9,600 per day during the previous week. Now, that's an ONS estimate. What was your least favourite part of the debate? My least favourite, I just felt really sorry for Joe Biden, actually. I felt really, really sorry for Joe Biden because I think he was really struggling to, actually form his answers. I just think what Trump was doing was trying to get inside his head and make it really difficult for Joe Biden to articulate. But I think Joe Biden performed a lot better than a lot of people were expecting him to. I think that was the reason why maybe a lot of people were tuning in, kind of hoping that they'd see, Joe Biden, pull a classic Joe Biden moment and speak nonsense for, most of it. But, he didn't. I think Joe Biden sort of performed relatively well, but I think Donald Trump definitely tried to make that not the case. But it's just interesting to think what was the intention behind his tactics during that debate. Let me know what you think about that in the comments box below. What was Trump's, what was the intention for the sort of totaling of that debate? And did that poor moderator work hard enough? I think, considering he was from Fox, I think he sort of gave Donald Trump, a fair sort of seeing to, and gave Joe Biden, adequate, I think, representation in the debate, which again was something that I was worried about. But yeah, I think we're going to be seeing loads of those clips rolling round on, 24 news channels, 24-hour news channels for many, many days to come. But back to the coronavirus and back to England, because there are some really, really major stories which I'm going to get to now before we all fall asleep. But there is some limited evidence that it's leveling off, according to the ONS. So we are seeing some quite dramatic increases in infection, but they are dropping slowly and steadily. So we're going to watch that one closely to see if these local lockdowns, which a lot of the country and parts of Wales are in, to see if those working. But breaking just this evening is the fact that Northumbria University say that 770 of their students have now tested positive for coronavirus. Now, this is a university based in Newcastle upon Tyne, which is in the northeast of England. So 770 tested positive, but around 78 were actually displaying symptoms. Now, all of them are self-isolating. Flatmates and any close contacts are also having to go into quarantine, and they've been advised to book a test if they develop COVID-19 symptoms. The cabinet member Councillor Iram Ali, who is a cabinet member on Newcastle City Council, said that the university had gone to incredible lengths, that was the quote, to create a COVID secure environment for students. But I think what we are dealing with here are students that are desperate to enjoy their university experience and Freshers Week. So I think this spread among students was absolutely inevitable. So it's just going to be interesting how the restrictions are for students going forward. We've heard this week that students will be allowed so far to go home to their parents for Christmas, even if that does include a period of self-isolation. But something that really sort of ground my gears today was the flouting of coronavirus rules by, quite senior politicians and celebrities mainly with political connections. So this is the SNP MP. Here she is, Margaret Ferrier, who travelled on a train whilst she was aware that she was positive with COVID-19. Just going to change the view there. Does that work? Okay, there she is. She's there. There's Margaret Ferrier. Now, the Commons Speaker, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, has quite severely criticised this MP for her, quote, completely reckless behaviour after she broke those coronavirus rules. She has been kicked out of the SNP parliamentary party and is facing calls to leave the Commons, so resign her role as an MP completely over her actions. This is a great roundup of headlines in this news-packed week. Thank you so much, Peter. Yes, lots going on. I've still got a bit more to go through. I'm actually going to play you some video from Sir Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House of Commons. I like him. He's a very good character. It's nice to hear a voice like his speaking in the House of Commons. I'm going to play some video from him, and you can really get a sense of sort of his anger towards this situation.
This behaviour for a member of Parliament.
Apologies if you heard a little bit of echo there. Still trying to figure out some of the technicals here, but it's a great system that I'm using, HAPS, to bring you all of this news tonight. So that was Sir Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House of Commons. obviously very angry about what Margaret Ferrier has done. So she travelled from London to Scotland. From Scotland to London on Monday, despite having COVID-19 symptoms and had been tested. She made a speech in Parliament and then found out she was positive before proceeding to travel home again by rail. So what we're seeing is a senior politician going dramatically against the government advice, travelling on what is possibly one of the longest public transport journeys you can take, from the southeast of the country to, the far north, well, to a different country, to Scotland, whilst being aware of being positive with coronavirus. I mean, just before coming on to you this evening, coming on to HAPS, we heard that the police will in fact be launching a criminal investigation, and she could actually be facing a fine of, I believe it's £4,000. Sorry, just trying to get you the latest on this. So she is to be investigated by the police after she travelled between London and Glasgow, despite knowing that she has coronavirus. Peter Bittner says, wow, that's very responsible. Now, Nicola Sturgeon, the leader of the SNP and Scotland's First Minister, said that she has told Mrs. Ferrier that she should step down as an MP. She tweeted, I did so with a heavy heart. She's a friend and a colleague, but her actions were dangerous and indefensible. I've got no power to force an MP to resign. I hope she will do the right thing. And there we go. And she isn't Margaret Ferrier that has been flouting these coronavirus restrictions. We saw Stanley Johnson, Boris Johnson's father, the father of the Prime Minister of the English government, who himself was brought down with coronavirus. His father was seen shopping without a mask. Now, that carries a fine of £200 currently here in the UK. We had Jeremy Corbyn, the former leader of the Labour Party, attending a dinner party which broke the rule of 6. And I think what we are going to need to see is a swift and adequate reaction from the correct authorities, because this is setting an example to the British public. We know just how damaging the Dominic Cummings fiasco was right at the start of this pandemic. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. I'm sure I'll be with you all the way, bringing you the updates as they happen. But thank you so much for joining me here on HAPS today. If you didn't already know, HAPS is the network and now the system, the social media platform that I'm using to broadcast to you today. So it's letting me broadcast on Facebook and Twitter, and indeed the HAPS app itself, where you'll be able to find journalists telling the story from where they are, from all over the world. It's really, really fun to share this news with you, despite it being quite worrying, a lot of it. But I hope you have found this enjoyable, this broadcast, and mostly informative. But that is all from me. It's Friday night here where I am in Bristol, United Kingdom. It's just about to hit 7:30. I'm going to head off now, but do remember to follow me on HAPS if you'd like to see more updates just like this. I promise that very, very soon I'll have all the technical sorted, so this will run smoothly. But thank you for bearing with me and joining me here on this broadcast. I'll see you very